This conference will now be recorded.
Mr. Chair, we are officially on the record. This will be roll call for the full council meeting for January 26th. Jerome Hill.
Present.
Pat Smith. Justine Patterson.
Present.
Ben Shirley. Webster Barnaby. Dennis Baxley. Reggie Bellamy. Christopher Benjamin. Patrick Diggs. T. Willard Bear. Chevron Jones. Mike Mason.
Present.
Kiandra Moore. Marva Preston.
Present.
Marcus Smith. He's online now. All right, Mr. Chair, that concludes roll call.
Thank you, everyone, for attending, and those that are attending virtually. Terrell?
Morning.
Terrell, are you able to hear me?
Yes, can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that our communications were okay.
Yes, I don't sound so deaf today. I believe my ears are finally popping.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you're on the mend. One of the things that we'll do with roll call is that Ben is excused. He let us know of a situation where he had to go to Tampa for work. And
Okay.
Pat Smith just advised me that she'll be running a little bit late, but she's coming.
Yeah. Okay.
Put that out there. Just as a point of order, once again, how we're looking to handle today's affairs. We're taking a look at the legislative priorities, and we talked about that yesterday. And so that was an action item that I really gave to Terrell for how we can advance ourselves on that end. I'm excited about our guest speakers that are coming in around 10 o'clock. And before that time, I'm going to go ahead and move up some agenda items. Naturally, I want to talk about Wikipedia discussion. We've talked about it at some portions last year or the year before that. But as we are moving towards, completion of our website, our social media aspects, to have a Wikipedia page where somebody can come back for reference, just really completes the integrity of the council and where we want to be. And then I do want to talk and give the floor to Marva. Yesterday we weren't able to do that, but certainly there's some news that's coming out of her camp that I think that we would be interested in. And certainly it might be of great interest to the staff, certainly. So I do want to go ahead and do that. So let's, today, after the discussions with the guest speakers, naturally we'll adjourn. So, we're looking much like what we did yesterday. In that sense, we can power through, depending how long that discussion is. So that's what we're looking at right now. So I think that what I'll do is, Marva, before anybody we might as well just start with that discussion now so there won't be any interruptions. Let's talk about a little bit of what you told me yesterday, and I feel like there's some benefit to the council.
One of the things that I am administrator for the electronic monitoring command center for the state of Florida for juveniles, and I employ several OPS workers, and these are college students, FAMU and Florida State. And I talk about what I do a lot, and they have expressed an interest in getting involved and volunteering on that college level to assist us in anything that we need to help spread the word, to make contacts, whatever needs to be done Because two of them are in the criminal justice, and well, two of them are in their masters. They're in the master's program, so this is of course beneficial to them as well. So I don't know what the next step would be. They asked me about bring back some type of literature, and I asked you, I could give them a copy of the annual report. But really, my concern is that we keep them connected, that we share. And if there's any time where there's a gathering where it's open to the public, I'd like to invite them. I'd like them to meet the members of the council.
Sure.
They can be signed up as interns with the state so that they can actually be there to assist the team, and we have that in place. There is, we have the ability to have interns to come in and work with us, because we do it all the time.
Yeah, it's not an involved process either, so it's really for the state.
A light background, because they will be privy to some things, and they need to go over that with them, but then they're able to come in and do their hours. There's a process of what they can do to let them know that they're doing things.
Yeah.
And another component of my job is that we're 24/7, 365. So it's an ongoing process for us. So in order for us to be fully staffed, what we've done is we've taken some of the juvenile probation officers, and they're now part of my team on weekends and holidays. So you're talking about a group of people that have daily contact with young Black males.
Okay.
And I think it's beneficial to them as well as to us.
How about this? How about you set up, Terrell, Sydney, and Yara, set up a meeting and go to our offices. And so they can go ahead and, yes.
I don't believe that the Attorney General's office does internships anymore unless you are an attorney. That is something that we try to check into prior to.
Okay.
So maybe volunteer. I don't know.
We also have a mentorship. Maybe if we put them in that mentorship program and associate with this council.
Right, but I think a dialogue needs to be had, even if you talk to Rick. I understand they don't want anyone other than an attorney, but for this council, that's not what we need. Maybe they'll make an exception for the council, since we sit under their umbrella, to allow regular interns to come in to work with the council. And if you all agree to keep up with their hours and do all of that, and they won't have to be bothered with it, I don't see why it would be an issue.
So
Yes, Terrell.
yes, so I have tried several times to possibly implement a way where we can invite or bring on volunteers, and I've even had several conversations about possible interns. So, of course, as you know, we are housed in the Office of the Attorney General, so there's a lot of rules, a lot of procedures, and a lot of things that we just have to abide by. So it was told to me that the only interns that can be in the building are attorneys. And so although we as a staff and as a council, we see the benefit of volunteers and interns. One, Rick said that to have several interns, that's a security thing, because they would have to have access to the building. And I don't think that the Office of the Attorney General, at least when I've talked to Rick and Sabrina and the HR director, Ruth Dillard, I don't believe that they are willing to invite so many other individuals that are not state employees. So it is a really, really sticky, it's a sticky conversation because I do see the value in it. One of the things that I do want to implement and get up and running is the Man Up program. And so, just to refresh you all's memory, the Man Up program kind of took a spin. I kind of changed it to where we are implementing the Man Up program at all of the HBCUs, and then hopefully all of the PWIs. But now I'm thinking that if we want it to be a bit more widespread, we can make the Man Up program more of a city thing, that we can figure out how we can measure it and scale it in the city of Tallahassee so that we can have the possible volunteers or the internship. So that way, if we find a meeting location, if we find other individuals to help us, then they won't have to come to the office of the Attorney General. They can come to that meetup space. But as of right now, the answer has been a definite no. We cannot have interns nor volunteers coming inside of the OAG to assist us with anything. I have tried several times.
Okay, thanks, Terrell. Let's identify who the unknown caller is on the call.
Good morning, Chair. This is Ben.
Good morning, Ben.
So, okay, so that's also including volunteers.
Yes, they're not willing to stretch that in terms of giving them access to the actual OAG because so. But then you think about, well, maybe they could do something for us virtually. I don't think that I'm opposed to them doing anything for us virtually, but just like Justine Patterson said, we would have to write up some kind of language to do that. And so I see the value and the benefits of it, but now it's gonna be everything that we do, we have to take it to Rick, and Rick has to approve it and sign off on it. And unfortunately, even though that we have gotten the council to a place where people are not necessarily telling us no so much anymore, there are some things that people in the OAG office is just not willing to bend on. So if we can possibly do a trial run of getting a volunteer or an intern to do something for us virtually, that would be great. But now the question is, what incentive are we going to give an intern? Because when I spoke to the dean over at FAMU, the dean in journalism, one of the things that she said that she think that it's a great idea, but we also live in a world where if you're saying that this is an internship and you're not paying students, then what are you giving students? Now, there are some students that they would volunteer because, they need volunteer hours to do organizations, to do this and to do that. But if we are looking to have internship, that we always have to keep in mind, how will they benefit from this, and what exactly are we giving them if it's not money?
Yes, Mark.
The people that I'm talking about are actually state employees and
Perfect. Okay.
to volunteer and to do community outreach. And I don't see why that cannot fall under that. I mean, I'm thinking about even the things that we were talking about yesterday about delegating. If I couldn't be here, that one of them could be here, or if Marcus couldn't be here, one of them. I mean, to me, it's a win-win situation.
Sure.
You have to figure out how to make it work.
You know what, Terrell, you wanted to say something?
I agree. If they're state employees, which is a brand new twist, and they're not volunteers, they're not interns, they're security concerns, it should be worried why state employees cannot sign whatever security agreements in the building, like us in this particular building. Now, most of us are state employees, so I don't know exactly.
One of the things, and I appreciate the Office of the Attorney General trying to, have security protocols. However, we do serve at the pleasure of our Florida citizens. Instead, what we're going to do because Marva is a representative of the Office of the Attorney General. Please set up a meeting with Marva, the people that you want to come over, that I'd like for them to come over to the Office of the Attorney General to go ahead and meet you guys at your office. I'm gonna write an email to that effect. If Rick has a problem, please have him call me.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
You know, we're just not gonna go back. We're not going back and forth with, the idea, and I do agree, the parameter changes when we're talking about state employees. Well, everyone that's in that office is a state employee. We're not talking about, individuals from another system. These individuals are easily tracked. I mean, this is what department once again?
We're in the Department of Juvenile Justice.
This is a no-brainer. This isn't even up for discussion. If he has a problem with that, please have him call me. That's just not an issue. And if there is an issue, then I want a meeting with him and the director.
Okay. Okay. Now, Marva, when you say that you want individuals individuals are interested in assisting us, talk a little bit more about to what degree. I don't think, and if you did say it, I don't think I heard it. To what degree would they want to assist us and volunteer? Because one of the biggest things that I would say that we would need assistance with is drafting up certain plans, such as the Man Up program, certain plans to establish local councils in other cities, but more importantly, giving YATA the assistance in writing. And so, are these individuals interested in doing some of that research? Tell me a little bit more about what are they interested in?
Okay, at this point right now, all they know is what I have told them about.
Gotcha. Okay.
What the name and what it means. They know that they interact every day with young Black males.
Gotcha.
Given their time for whatever is needed. They have not asked specifically for anything. So I think it will be up to us to
Gotcha.
say, need. And
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
And another point, I encourage each and every member of the council at one point or another to visit the Office of the Attorney General and to visit our offices. We did spend the money for the furnitures there, the computers there, and so on and so forth, and we pay for the space there. Absolutely, you are entitled to go there without hesitation. And I encourage that. Once again, Terrell, if there's an issue, have him call me. It's actually in the Office of the Attorney General in Collins Building. Collins Building, right? Yeah.
Now I do like the idea of having possible alternative representatives on the behalf of council members that cannot possibly make meetings. And so, I think that as an executive director or YATA being a research coordinator, sometime we can't always reach out the way we would want to reach out to council members. But I think about just like the attorneys or senators, representatives have their legal aids. I do think that having possible volunteers to meet certain council members, to build a relationship with them, to act on their, build a trusting relationship to act on their behalf. I do think that's a really good idea. So somebody is there to represent Justine Patterson or Marva, that way that they're going back to fluently tell them what the meeting was about.
Yeah, and I think those appointing authorities, the way you craft up the letter to delegate authority, everybody has an alternate. And most of the boards that I sit on, councils and task force I sit on, has an alternate. And thus, this week I had a couple of meetings that were down in the South Florida region. And I designated someone on my behalf those meetings, and I'll get debriefed when I get back next week. So it just only makes sense. It's done everywhere. This is not, this isn't, anything, a eureka moment, if you will. I'm just sad that we haven't thought to do this before. And I think a little bit of when we're coming out of the shadows, the council is now reimagining things that it was told in many instances before we couldn't do, or there were my predecessors were under the opinion of certain legal matters. I will say this. I did think about this at some time. And even if the attorney that represents us tells us no, what are you going to do? Sue the council? You have to represent us at that time, right? So it's always chess in this game. You're not going to sue us, especially if our legislative members get the benefit of that. If the spirit of the state statute 16.615 is being adhered to. What that is all about certainly is, accountability for these votes. That's what that is about. And if the secretary couldn't be there or department head could be there, they have delegated authority and appointed someone else. And thus, there is nothing that says we couldn't do that for the ones that have that delegated authority, to have an alternate that would have that same type of power. So that's the distinction. And quite truthfully, if they will be challenging themselves, if they can disagree with us, but they will be challenging themselves. And that is the quagmire that they're in. That they would have to put some type of suit, honestly, lawsuit against us, and they would have to defend us against that too. That's not going to happen. We know that. So it's pretty much a non-issue on that. Thoughts, Ben? Anybody have any thoughts about that? Because that is the real true problem that they would have. I mean, how could they do that? It just wouldn't. And more importantly, I'm sure that the senators and the representatives, for Sunshine Law purposes, would love to have that they're attending, because definitely people do check to see how they voted on certain things. If they abstained or if they even came to a vote. That is all public knowledge. And I'm sure that they would like to at least satisfy the fact that they were in attendance in something like this. Once again, my concerns is much like the journalist that contacted me in regards to what's going on with the council. We can go ahead and change that narrative. So let's go ahead and do that, and I think we'll be fine on that end of it. The Wikipedia discussion, I do want to go ahead and talk about that. Tori, I don't know if you heard about the budget yesterday. We have about
Yes.
We have $64,000 approximately for the OPS dollars. Naturally, half of that will be spent naturally for the next 6 months as we fill out that portion of it. So that'll leave us a little over, that'll leave us around, let's just say 30,000 on that end of it. We have, as of right now, I think in contracted dollars, we have 522. That leaves us with hardly anything on that end of it. And we have to be very judicious on how we're going to go ahead and spend that. I don't know what the cost of putting this production together, and certainly for the members that are here are all state employees, so our authorities are absorbing those costs. So I don't see a cost with this production as much. I do think we have $9,236 that is outstanding for, I'm not quite sure what that is. I'm remiss in writing that. But I'm saying all that to say that we still have a little bit of wiggle room. And let me go ahead and get that now. Thank you. A point of privilege, please. So we're talking about kind of what Ben was talking about yesterday. OPS expenses, other expenses. We're looking at around, 9,000, right? So expenses that we've had so far year to date on that. I just wanted to ask Ben one thing. Ben, I don't know if you can hear me. You might be on another call.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right, so we're thinking about 34,000 out of the 60,000 is going to be paid to salaries for OPS. That will leave us with 30,000. Provided that we can. Is there any room, are we able to go ahead a portion of that? I'm not talking about right now, but a portion of that to go into the pot like contracted services or other.
And Chair, my response is for you and Terrell, since I don't have the budget in front of me. But if you look back at the budget spreadsheet for the OPS, what was on the far left, towards the bottom of the spreadsheet for our amount was allocated for OPS?
$64,744.30.
And what's on the far right, on that same line on the very far right?
Excuse me. Far left is.
Oh, so on the far left is 64. What's on the far right?
The far right is $64,744.30. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what it is on the far right.
No, allocated. I thought you said we had $64,000 allocated in OPS. So the far right should show what we have remaining of the 64.
Right. So the allocation itself that we started with, or the allotment, was $122,576.
But is that for OPS only? That's for everything, correct?
Right. Correct.
So when I said far left, I mean the far left under OPS only. So go back up to OPS and look at far left. I thought we had allocated only 60 or 64,000 for OPS.
No. Just for OPS alone, we are allocated $122,576. Currently, right now, we have $64,744.30 left. So just for OPS alone, it was over $100,000.
Okay, so we have 64,000. So Terrell, your next question. I can't recall who we have on contract. How many people we have on contract for OPS?
Just Yalta. So because we just Yeah, because we just have Yalta now, that freed up about $30,000.
In that case, then yes, Chair, you can answer your question, which is if we have a surplus of 30,000. I think I mentioned yesterday. I didn't know if any additional plans to bring in additional staff for them. If you're not bringing in additional staff, you'll still have your 30,000. So you can easily do a budget transfer from those funds. I would say at minimum you can spend half of it, send half of it. They'll probably get a little apprehensive. You want to send the whole amount on there unless you have a plan for it. But you should have no pushback at all if there's $30,000 in surplus that you want to send at least 15,000 from OPS to contracted services dollars.
Okay. Thank you, Ben. So we
So I
have
think you
that.
should leave some surplus in OPS just in case Yala needs to work over or whatever. You don't want to completely send your entire surplus over. But I think you're safe to send at least half of it over to contracted services or wherever you need it, either contracted services or expense dollars.
Okay. Yana, this is in Terrell. I need to ask you this. How does the Office of the Attorney General feel when Yada has to work over her OPS hours?
Nervous. I've had several conversations with Sabrina Donovan, going over the budget. And I can't say that she is super comfortable with the idea of working over 8 hours. From the sound of it and the sound of our conversation, she's always in the business of making sure that we are saving money rather than losing money. And if we can work within the time frame, do so. But yeah, I don't think that it's the most praised thing, unless we really, really need Yalta to do something past her 8 hours a day.
Chair, this is Ben again. I can answer that question there. If we give an updated budget spreadsheet to Sabrina, letting her know how much we're planning to use, how many hours y'all is planning to use every pay period from now to June 30th. And once she costs that out and she can see that we'll still be under our allotment, she should have no problem with it. I think the budget people get worried if we keep switching hours back and forth because they're charged of making sure we come in under budget. But we give them a plan with a budget. I'm pretty sure Terrell can do that and say, these are the hours y'all will work from now until June 30th. We can cost that out, and budget shouldn't have any problems with that.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Yeah, the budget plan.
I just want to bring this up to the council. My concern is, Governor DeSantis was utmost gracious this year to give state employees additional days off. Those additional days off was a benefit for all of us. It was not benefit at all to our OPS workers whatsoever. I have to think about that too. I'm grateful for what the governor has done. However, it hurts people. And we should be in a position with those dollars that Yada can make up, provided the work is that exists, that Yada can make up those hours. Does anybody have any issues with that at all? Or what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I don't utilize OPS, but are you all available, able to telework? Take your laptop home, and because we do have telework, available for staff. We may let you do 1 or 2 days at home.
Right.
Sorry, we covered it. But if telework is available through and all those days she's home working.
Yeah.
That's the way, that's how you get it. I've been here long enough, there's a way of.
Right.
Teleworking will.
Yeah, I think that we would be good stewards to take care of the home front. And when I think about that, that was a concern of mine. Of course, we enjoyed the benefit of that, but it hurt. I'm assuming it hurt you. You know, it hurts our OPS, and I have several OPS in my office, and I know to go ahead and discuss this topic because it hurt them. But you're right. In my office, I can do certain things to make that reality. That's why I'm bringing it to the council right now. As well as I took care of my staff down there in South Florida, and we have a responsibility to take care of staff here too. Yes, sir.
Every agency has policy. I think probably the biggest concern is, over there in that pay period, work over the OPS time frame to look and say if you're working full time. But between now and June 30th, there should be no problem to make that up. And also, once, like Ben said, they calculate out, what that would look like physically for the end of the year. And let's say if we're gonna have $10,000 left.
Right.
At that point in time, like Ben said, budget transfers, but they need to make sure that, let's say we're gonna transfer contract services or expense code need funding there, that we have the budget for it in those categories. Otherwise, for every agency struggle with the budget authority piece and not having enough budget. And if that's the case, then we can have $10,000 sitting there that we cannot spend.
Right.
So the process we need to start now, looking at what authority we have in every category. So the focus should be moved, because I think in the past, I've heard that we don't have counsel from the staff, that we don't have a budget authority to shift more money. And so we had an $80,000 budget and $40,000 left.
Right. I think that Ben, you'd agree that this is a nice problem to have compared to years past when we were given a lot of our budget back to every year. So, honestly, I love these problems that we have now, because we were able to go ahead and see a need to get additional monies, but also, we have satisfied why we needed it in the first place. And that was, a concern of mine initially when we were awarded the money and we started building things out. So that's where I am with that. The only thing that with my staff down in South Florida was on the days that, of course, that we had off, that the governor was able to give to us. Those days, naturally, although we got paid for it, those OPS workers, if they work telework those days, then they would have to go ahead and get a special condition for payment on those days because they worked on that day, right? So to circumvent.
There was a special code given to.
Right.
Yeah, for discretionary.
Right. For discretionary days, so 0040, right?
OPS can't use that. And then special. I
didn't think so. So what I did was, for the days that they didn't, where we were working, that they put in an additional couple hours for the pay period, that and spread that out through the week and the week before. Yeah, that's the way that we handled it down there. And I think that that's appropriate. The reason why it was a unique, perfect storm this year, just because the way the holiday fell, and then the consideration of what the governor gave us, which we were expecting until he announced that in December, early December for us. So I do understand that was a unique situation, how that was, but I think that it's worth mentioning that that's how I handled it down in South Florida. And I knew that unique position now coming up here, that if those matters come up, I think that that's a way that we can go ahead to handle that. The Office of the Attorney General is hell bent on keeping Yada Kane at an OPS position because of the position itself. They've never had a position like that before, and they don't know. For some reason, they're hell bent on that. And so when I had the discussion with the chief of staff, who's no longer there now, he and Terrell, I don't know if you're going to chime in here, but he was very adamant that I couldn't do certain things.
Mhm.
Is that your recollection of it?
Yeah, I've been, with the council now for a year and almost a month, and I've had countless conversations to get Yata's position changed over to either SCS or career service. So it was explained to me that she couldn't be SCS because in order to be SCS, you have to be a supervisor. Okay, well, that's fine. So when asked the question, could she be career service, it was posed to me that she would have to possibly be reclassified. I don't necessarily think that Sabrina Donovan has an issue, but if I can be frank, I do think that there are other factors outside of professionalism that hinders us from getting y'all to be career service.
Right.
At least from the conversations that I've had with individuals that I know that can do it, but either unless a better word, slow poke around or beat around the bush on all the reasons why I can't do it or why we shouldn't do it. So when I spoke with the director made it seem as if keeping one position in our office OPS, it actually saves us financially versus making everyone, career service or SCS. It makes us have a tighter budget. The plan is to receive additional funds and proceed with making her career service. But I think I'm just gonna have to revisit the conversation closer to